the first thing, sir, is that what is the purpose of the UPSC interview at first place?
Yeah, that is the basic question, I think. How do we and what is the purpose of the UPSC interview? So, well, what we must try and understand is that UPSC, that selection process for the civil services, there are three main things in that. One is your preliminary, that's the prelims, what you call it, that tests something special in particular. Your certain your objective tests are there, testing your knowledge in CSE and general studies. Then come the main part, which is the mains, which is the exhaustive part, in which you go through a lot of subjects which test your writing skills, which test your logical and analytical skills, which test your comprehension power, and your overall wide and deep knowledge. That all is tested in the main examination. And those who qualify at that stage come to the personality test and interview. Now, personality test and interview is very important. There is no doubt about it, because it will determine who will finally get selected, because 3,000 people are called approximately, and about 700 to 800 finally get selected in civil services. And if you talk of the IAS as such, say about 150 to 160 will get selected in the IAS, and the others in the other service. So 1:3 is the normal ratio, and therefore one will get selected, two will not get selected. That is the importance of personality test and interview. The marks are very important. Of course, sometimes many students come to me and say that, sir, I could not do well in interview, that's why I didn't succeed. But very often they don't succeed also because they have lower marks in the mains.
Means.
In the mains written examination, if you are lower in the merit, then even if you do reasonably well in interview, unless you do exceptionally well, the interview does not pull you up. So if you do exceptionally well, then the interview can pull you up. But if you do average as others, then the interview does not pull you up. So that has to be kept in mind. Okay. Now, secondly, which service you get eventually, whether you get the IAS or IPS or other services, that depends a lot on how much you score in the personality test and interview. Because that will determine your rank. It is very important in determining your rank. So that is why also it is very significant. Though, of course, nowadays they have only 275 marks for interview out of 1750 they have written. So the percentage of the interview marks are much less as compared to the written examination. But still, as I said, it will make a difference to your ranks, difference to your service, and even finally getting selected or not selected can be decided by the personality test and interview. And that's why I said that the personality test and interview is of great importance. Now, the very important question that you asked me is, what is the purpose? After the student has already gone through the main examination and essay, general studies, and optionals, and everything has been done, why personality test and interview? That is simply because the UPSC wants to know whether you have officer-like qualities, whether you have the personality to become a civil servant, if you have the right mental attitude, if you have the right approach to life, if your thinking is in the right direction, if you believe in the right things, then you are fit to be a civil servant. Not everybody is fit to be a civil servant, And, you know, there's nothing in favor or against anybody. There's so many careers available. Some person can be good in something else, somebody can be good in something else. And so every career is good. I am always there to say that civil service is not the only career, any other career is good. But if you want to become a civil servant, then your personality should be tuned to what they want there to be of a civil servant. The qualities that they're looking for, the aptitude, the attitude, all that they look for. That is what the personality test and interview is all about. They actually want to see many things. For instance, let us give an example. A civil servant has to be very balanced. When in life challenges come before you and you have to take a call or you have to take a decision, that has to be very balanced. You see the pros and cons and then arrive at a balance. So your personality has to be a very balanced personality and not an extremist personality. An extremist can go one way or the other in one direction. If you are a social activist, you can possibly go in an extreme direction. But a civil servant does not go in an extreme direction. So this is just give an example. This is what they will test in the personality test and interview. When answers that you give, how balanced you are, and when you are responding to any question raised by the interview board. One thing must be made clear, that they've already tested your knowledge. That has been tested in general studies papers, in the optional paper, in the essay paper, in the prelims. So this is once again another new test of knowledge. No, it is not so. It is something different. Yes, they want to see how much knowledge you have, but they also want to see how you are able to present and communicate that knowledge that you have. And the questions that are asked, how you respond, in which manner, how you understand the questions, what is the analytical process that goes off in your mind, and after that analytical process, how you arrive at a conclusion or an answer, and how you communicate that with how much of confidence, with how much of fluency of language, or how much of fluency of thoughts. All these things are very important when you are answering questions before the interview board. So the purpose of the personality test and interview is then to test whether you have the right qualities to become a civil servant, the right aptitude to become a civil servant, and whether your approach to things like democracy, to things like constitution, to things like, the ethos and civilization of India, you believe in these things. You're confident about these things. And also about your own personality, what is your sense of self-belief? How much do you believe in yourself? How confident you are about achieving things in life? What is your ethical framework? All these things will be tested in the personality test and interview.